Okay, hey everyone, I'm just waiting for the stream to show if I have my audio or not. Alright, looks like it's fine. I'm just gonna mute it. That's the number one lesson in streaming. Okay, so hey everyone, and welcome to Age of Reason News. So today is not the official episode, it's my news stuff. And so today I'm gonna review one of my films and I'm gonna comment on the news just like I did last week. And probably it will be a little bit funny because a lot of the news often repeat on CNN, especially. I often find some old articles posted there, so you always have to check the date. But anyway, let's start with the films. Okay, so let's put on this screen there. Okay, I should probably click in the right window. That would help. Just let me resize that for the edit. I need to make everything nice and clean. Okay, so just like last week, I'm using this wheel thing on the internet, and it has most of my films typed in there. Last week I reviewed my music video and one of the short films by James, and today, well, we'll see what it does. So let's spin the sucker. Ooh, PER, Parallel Experiments Rain. Okay, good one. I actually was kind of waiting for it to pop up eventually. Alright, so let me load it up in there. PER and PER Google. Okay, I have to say it's not easy working with two screens. Alright, so I see the problem. Just gotta full screen that. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. So again, you know, this is for the edit, it will be all edited up. Just for the live stream is always a bit messy. Alright, here we go. Alright, so actually, again, for the stream, just give me a moment. Hey bro, how's it going? I really just was not feeling good these past 3 days. Today a little bit shaky, but just okay to be on again. Okay, I'm just getting a picture here for people who are watching because I really want to put it into the stream. So let's go with this picture. It's a good one. Save image. There we go. Oh, working with two screens is fine, but it's just everything always needs to be resized and stuff. It gets very, very annoying. Okay, so let me just get this photo. If I knew where it saves it, it would be even better. Okay, let's make it this way then. This is kind of live on the fly. I'm just adding things here as they come. So anyway, let's add the picture. Let's add the picture, and then it will be actually correct. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna give it a 3, 2, 1. Re-enable the chat here. Shh. Go away. Go away. Come on. Don't bother me. All right, and let's redo that 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this film that I'm going to show you today is was actually meant to be a live-action version of a Japanese anime called Serial Experiments Lain. It's a great anime. I actually consider it one of the best. I definitely have my top 10. And I know, like, for most people, you know, they have the generic list up there. So I find a lot of people like Dragon Ball Z, for example, kind of things like One Piece or Inuyasha. And some of them are actually not bad, but they are just not great. And unfortunately, most people do not know the great ones. And Serial Experiment Lain is definitely one of the best, in my opinion. Again, definitely in my top 10. The story is about, well, you really have to watch it because I don't want to spoil it too much for people. Basically, the scientist hacker guy, he finds a way to transfer his consciousness into the Wired. The Wired is basically like the internet, a bit more advanced. And so from there he basically becomes a god because he's the only one who could do that. So he becomes a god, and then he gets those type of powers, so he starts to influence the real world from the virtual world. So it's really kind of a philosophical thing there, and you know, people have to watch it. Shh. Hey, guys, go away. Damn cats. All right, let's give it another 3, 2, 1. So anyway, try to watch it. It's a very good one. It's one of the best. It's very strange, and there's just a lot of scenes actually which look great, but I never really understood their meaning. So it's probably one of those series that you have to read more about on the internet or some forums. Anyway, going back to the thing, so I made a live action movie based on it. And just a quick word of warning, it's a censored version because, you know, Facebook and the internet unfortunately is allergic to female breasts, so we can't show that. So I do have a censored version. And so when it gets to that point, I will actually pause and explain what happens, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So let's jump into that. Okay, let me just pause that for a second because maybe the volume is not fantastic. Let's just raise it up a little bit. I just want to make it right. I don't want to re-edit too much later. So anyway, let's just go back. It will be a little bit better, I suppose. Should be good now.
Who are you? Are you everything you believe you are? Do you believe in God? You should know by now.
Okay, I just realized that I forgot to resize it, so apologies. Let's just go from the beginning. This time it's gonna be proper. Okay. Since I'm commenting on everything, I mean, in theory, if you watch a DVD and you know it's a director's commentary, it does go all throughout. So let me comment on the logo just a while ago. I noticed that a lot of pictures that I see these days dating back to these times. This was, you know, 2006, 2007 or something like that. I noticed that a lot of pictures were blurry. I was a big fan of this kind of blur effect with the lights behind, and now I notice that it's really not interesting at all. I prefer a much crisper image. Anyway, since we're on the text here, so this is the Wired. This is the definition of the Wired. In fact, I did make a prequel. Well, I mean, I finished it this year actually, so it will be coming out to the public. I'm not sure when, but it does start with a similar text. This is kind of almost a trademark, if you want, of the show, of the movie. So, yep, it starts with the definition, and the definition is basically something like the internet. It's a vast network of cables leading to a centralized global information sharing hub, i.e. the internet.
Who are you? Are you everything you believe you are? Do you believe in God? You should know by now there is another you in the Wired.
Who are you?
I am you.
Yeah, I always like this shot. So this is one of my friend actors, Vincent. This was shot towards the very end, actually, and yeah, I always liked this close up we did, and then his laughter, and you know, at first when I was editing it, I thought it was a bit too exaggerated, but actually it's really good. Yeah, really fits well.
Rewrite the truth. Obliterate reality.
So I just want to comment on this thing very quickly. I'm just looking at the chat, so it's making me laugh from time to time. This particular intro, I actually shot it at one of my friend's places. And, well, you know, she had an apartment. And I think that day her husband or something was sick. And so she was busy setting up the apartment, and then she went away to take care of him, I guess. And while she was gone, well, me mostly, and James as well, we shot this whole thing already. We just kind of moving the camera and then pausing at one spot and then moving to another place and pausing there. So yeah, like James is mentioning on the chat, if you ever played the game Silent Hill 4, the intro is very much like this. So, you know, it's everything these days is inspired by something. And most of the times, inspired means, well, copied or borrowed. Let's be honest there. So anyway, that was fun. And then when she came out, she said, she asked us, oh, okay, so, you know, you can start shooting now. And we were like, we're already done. We're done already. let's pack it up and leave. So that was pretty funny.
If there's anything you want,
Anything at all. Come to me.
And this shot I always found interesting. If you just looked at the mirror there was something in the corner. And actually, to this day, I don't really know what it is. It looks like some kind of creature that is just moving away as I shoot there. But anyway, I just thought it, of course I could have used another shot, and there was a shot which was just the mirror clean, but you know, I'm going for weird stuff, so if I see something like that, it stays in. So here I have no idea where I took those newspapers from. I'm not even sure what language this is precisely. I always confuse Korean, Chinese, and Japanese. So, but this particular thing, I believe, was in the movie called 2001 Memories or something like that. I believe it's a Japanese-Korean movie. I'm not sure. And well, they had this newspaper thing, so I thought it's cool. Of course, these days, definitely looking back at it, I could do a lot better. But the point here was to explain that there is something going on with this Wired, and people are starting to disappear. So definitely something's up. Something's afoot.
Mankind always needs a leader. That leader is God.
Okay, well here I just have to explain very quickly. This is the censored version, so again, the internet is allergic to female breasts, apparently. We can't show that. Yet we see topless guys all the time, and that's okay for some reason. But anyway, the one shot that was cut here is basically we show more of her body, but the point here is just she's lying in the bathtub, she's passed out, and this particular intro is actually from a movie called Dark City. Dark City is a great movie, especially if you like to study cinematography. It's the look of it is absolutely stunning. This type of film noir feel with a kind of modern film noir, if you want. It was really quite unique, actually. I watched it again recently. And so yeah, the main character starts in the bathtub. There's something that happened, but basically that's where it came from. So you're mixing many things into this one project, you see. Okay, so again, here there's another moment that's cut out. I think after that it's pretty clean, but again, basically what happens is that there is something that runs towards the bathroom and kicks the door open, and just as she's coming to, she basically stands up and she, you know, covers herself with the towel. But that's what's cut out here. So you have to watch the uncensored version really to get like a full picture. By the way, since we're talking about that door, I just want to mention how I did that. So that was actually by myself. This was stuff I was recording towards the end just by myself. And so the way I did it is that my bathroom at the time was pretty small. So I think I put the camera inside the bathtub, of course empty. And the door, I think I tied it up to a kind of rope thing. And so I just had to basically pull the rope, and you do not see that in the final edit at all. I think it's probably just off this to the ceiling, but there is something there. I did pull it. The door doesn't just magically open by itself. I wish it did, but it doesn't. So candles, again, kind of trademark of my films. Usually use some candle somewhere. It's usually candles or stuffed animals, or sometimes both. And so for this shot coming up here, this is just, again, for people who are learning, because that's the whole point of this show anyway, is, you know, people can learn something, hopefully. So the way that you do this next shot here is that you can't move the camera at all, ideally anyway. Unfortunately here we did. But you shouldn't move the camera. You just leave the camera there, and maybe you dress up the set. You put another actor there or whatever you want, and you just basically push the record button again. So you have the exact same frame, but yet a different time. And this part, I just want to mention, this part I actually, the first time I recorded this was on a very crappy cell phone. The cell phone, I still have it. It takes pictures of 3 megapixels. So pictures. You can imagine then what the video quality is of that thing. It's, man, the frame rate is like ridiculous. But hey, back then it was pretty good. Anyway, I did record that as a test, and it was just really bizarre stuff, very, a lot of artifacts everywhere. But, you know, again, you just kind of practice that in your mind. Maybe you shoot some kind of very simple thing, and then you use that to actually do it properly the next time. Not the best transition ever, but not too bad, actually. So yeah, the phone thing was, you know, unplugged. That was the whole point there, to make it more weird. The phone is making noise, and yet it's not even plugged in into the, you know, phone line. And then we change into the TTC, so that's the Toronto train system, a subway system. And, you know, we had to book that. And again, it was I think too much effort over nothing really, because maybe the people were expecting that we were going to show up with many cameras and a lot of lights and a big crew, I guess. And it was just basically me and James and, you know, Melissa, the actress. Even the administrator said, wow, you probably didn't have to go through all that effort, but hey, you know, it's better to be safe than sorry later. The last thing you want on these type of things is that people start to bitch in the public about you. It's like, hey, what are you doing? And like, don't shoot me. And it's, you don't want these kind of troubles. Trust me. So that was James in the shot as well, and I like this little reaction there. Obviously, you have somebody next to you who's suddenly, you know, kind of breathing fast like that. You're gonna give that person a strange look. I don't know, I do anyway. Of course, if something is wrong with them, that's a different matter, but just like that, especially we know that we're acting, so it was just pretty funny. And then, of course, in this shot, this is James again. So now he's playing this character which we call the Ghost. He appears again later. And again, I just wanted to kind of introduce him here. Something strange is going on. Of course, this was shot in different days, different location. But you see how it's all kind of edited together. So she's on the train, he's watching the train. Yeah, I mean, it works. It really does.
Concretizations of pure imagination and thought. The bricks and mortar of the architect's vision, which started out as purely a figment of his... Like the Brothers Grimm, Vladimir Propp in his groundbreaking 1917...
Okay, so I just want to mention here, it was maybe shot on the same day. I can't remember at all. Anyway, we're going to a film school. So I was a film school student at the time, and I thought, you know, why not just kind of use that anyway? So we're just back into that environment. And this was actually one of my teachers. So this is not an actor. This is actually one of my teachers, Alan Hardiman. And wow, he actually did a good job. I mean, okay, just let's wait the fire engines. It's every day here. It's really insane. I think if you have fires that often in the area, you don't have a problem with accidents. You have a problem with arsonists. Okay, going back to this thing. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this person here is actually one of my teachers, Alan. He was the audio teacher. He knows a lot of stuff about audio, but in general, I have to say, incredibly intelligent guy. And so yeah, I mean, we just called him up. I think he showed up and just wrote some relevant stuff on the board and just started this mini lecture. We didn't need too much footage, but you know, just enough.
Work, Morphology of the Folktale, which incidentally was not translated into English until the 1970s, Propp identified 31 elements of the folktale, none of which repeats, and yet, as we identify each of those elements, somewhat akin to...
Who are you?
It does not matter who I am. There is no point for you to exist in the real world. You should realize that and give up your body.
Give up my body? What do you mean?
Everyone is connected. Something interesting is about to happen.
Every human being is alone. We are not connected to anybody.
Well, so here is kind of a philosophical thing, and a lot of people disagree with me on this point. You know, I'm a nihilist, openly, I don't deny it, and so my view on life is very, well, it's a nihilistic view. So to me, nothing really matters in the end. So that raises a bunch of interesting questions as well. But the point here is that he's saying that everybody is connected, and yet she's saying that everybody is alone. So I think in life, people have to make this choice. Some people are connected, you know, they hang out with each other, and if there's a party, they show up and they're the life of the party. And, you know, that's the way that they are. I'm not criticizing that behavior at all. That's just the way that they are. So, but me, I'm not like that at all. For example, I'm, well, mostly antisocial, and I try to avoid people as much as possible because in the vast majority of cases, what have people done for me? So I'm at a point in life, I'm quite sick. Who knows how much I have left? I have to think about life differently from somebody else who, you know, is healthy and has a really, let's say, a long life ahead. I really have to start thinking about people like, can this person actually help me? can this person help me? Is this person useful? Oh, he's not useful, so then I don't need to keep a contact with him. I know it's probably not the right attitude, I know, but there's just so much frustration that has built inside of me for the last decade or so, and you know, that's kind of the result. So I think I was trying to raise this point in this movie.
Restored to life. And so we can see through those structures that... Rain? Rain, are you all right?
I'm sorry. I have to go.
Kids these days. All right, where were we?
Kids these days. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I wrote that in. I mean, there were some parts where I did ask him to read actual lines. Most of the time he was improvising, though. I just thought it was pretty funny here.
In the structures of human...
What's happening to me?
This is actually my old place. Of course, I set it up for the shoot that day. I just wanted to make it pretty dark, and you saw some kind of art piece on the wall there. That was actually delivered extra for the film for free. I just wanted a more kind of relaxed environment, a warm environment, and when she closed that door that way, that door did not close so easily. That door, by the way, I can probably even kick it in, so that's not a good way to close that particular door.
Who are you?
Rain, I already answered that question. There is a theory about man being unable to evolve further. Mankind is only concerned with short-term satisfaction. Isn't it meaningless? Is this how we should live? There is no need to continue this miserable life.
And what do you suggest people should do?
So I have that bear. I didn't expect really this film to pop up today, so I didn't bring it out, but maybe next time. Yeah, it is my bear. I do have it here. I carry it well, everywhere actually with me. This is a great way to use another character who is not really there. Give him a voice, give him a bit of mystery. It's very easy to shoot. And, well, anyway, I just wanted to say that this bear is kind of a superstar.
They should all abandon their useless bodies and transfer their consciousness onto the wired.
Who are you?
I am God.
So, okay. This, in a way, it looks like that Michelangelo painting with the God and Adam trying to reach, well, trying to touch each other's finger, which is pretty weird. Anyway, this is kind of the same idea. So God at the top, character at the bottom. The room was actually, this was another room, was not so big, but I made it look bigger through the editing. So, you know, we leave the camera on her, And then we use those steps with the fog machine, but it's very small steps. And, you know, you have a small environment, but you can use certain tricks to make it bigger. Yeah, so why is God a fencer? Yeah, but I mean, why not? I mean, God can be anything. God can be a wrestler. It really just, I don't know, we left it to the actor to decide something, and the actor himself is into sword fighting, and fencing is not that far away, so just use that. So this was shot in a convenience store near my old place in Canada. I asked permission and everything. The people were absolutely okay with it. And then I came back to Canada a couple of years later, and bam, those people were gone. There were some other people, and well, that's a shame. But anyway, they let me shoot that day. It was, as you can see, it's a very simple shot, just following one way and following back. She picks up this milk. This particular milk would probably make me sick today, but anyway. So something is starting to happen here, and she's starting to notice it. So of course, conversing with God, that's already pretty strange. And now the drink starts to disappear. So it's kind of there, but not there at the same time. I'm pretty sure this is just two shots, and the box itself is cropped out, and go away. Okay, I have to redo that because of the damn cats. Just this last bit anyway. So 3, 2, 1. So the box here is basically cut out from, it's two pieces of footage here. First of all, she reaches for something and there's nothing there. And then the second piece is just the box itself. And so you have to match them up. Of course, you know, this is made in 2006. Now looking back at it, I can make more convincing than that. But, you know, here we're just conveying an idea. It's not about, you know, top Netflix production or something like that.
Why does it take you so long to realize it?
So here I just want to mention again, there was another censored thing here. What happens before this particular scene is that she goes back home and she sees an image of herself naked and, well, playing with herself. And that is just like almost an opposite character to her. So it was just to show that contrast. Maybe something inside her is this kind of wild side or something, and she just doesn't understand where it's coming from.
The Wired is the future. It is the only future.
Everything is possible there. Nothing can stop you.
You're wrong.
Are we? Think about it. We can assume whichever identity we want. We can invade others' privacy at will.
We can pretend to be something we're not in the real world.
So again, this is kind of a philosophical point. So a lot of people, I mean, even myself included, I really do have a virtual existence. I mean, I do spend most of my time online, not offline with other people. Again, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just saying that this is the way that it is. But if you do think about it, though, yeah, it's true that people can assume whichever identity they want to on the internet. They can get away with anything, really. Okay, yeah, it's true that some stuff probably can get you traced and arrested, but a lot of the time people, there's so much hate these days on the internet, okay? And people are hiding behind fake profiles and just trying to act high and mighty. And that is just, that doesn't sit well with me at all.
Exactly. Everything in the Wired is not real. Doing wrong is not an excuse, and pretending to be something only means you're stuck within an illusion.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. That's exactly the point here, is that these people create these avatars on the internet. This is all an illusion. This is not something that you can touch and feel. It's all virtual. A lot of people spend time on their cell phones and stuff like that, but this is not real. If you want something like that, then I recommend watching Black Mirror. I think the first episode of season 3 shows this type of situation precisely. A person who basically posts things just to get likes, and even like complete strangers can vote and stuff like that. So anonymous votes, right? Yeah, I mean, is that the world that we want?
Very good, Rain. Perhaps you are correct. However, do not deny that the human body has reached its limit. The only way for people to evolve is to merge with the Wired.
Are you really a god?
In the Wired world, you could say I am a god. The body is redundant.
You're wrong.
Hmm?
I don't really understand what you're talking about, but I'm sure that you're wrong.
So this idea goes back a little bit to, for example, the idea of Dyson spheres. This idea that basically, yes, the human body has a physical limit. So what is the next stage in evolution? It would be a form of energy, machines perhaps, something that doesn't use so much energy but has a huge storage space. You can network it together as well, and so you can create these, you know, mass storage, mass databases. And again, I think that's a debate that humanity will have in the future, unless of course we destroy ourselves before we even reach that point. But I think it's an interesting question, and we'll have to see which way evolution guides us.
Rain, do you know who you are?
What do you mean?
You're a true enigma. Your existence has been confirmed both in the real world and the Wired.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Rain, are you okay? You just don't talk much lately. Something wrong?
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
All right. But let's hang out after class today, okay?
Sure.
Class is in session now. Please sit down. Schopenhauer said we are not so much authors of our own life stories as editors. Today we'll look.
So I just found it a little bit funny here because Alan, when I told him to read that line, the class is in session, everybody please sit down, he said, I don't usually say something like that. Well, that's true, but you know, we had to kind of start the thing, so... And then he went, you know, again, it's all improvised after that point, so... Well, like I said, he knows a lot of stuff. This is the kind of people that you want to be attached to. You know, if you don't have enough knowledge, then you seek people who have more knowledge. I mean, that's the way that I grew up anyway. It seems like this world is not working this way, though.
The power of editing to shape and help us tell those stories.
The movie is so funny, but it's like really, really too far, and I think that, I don't know, it's just a bit like too much, I think. Oh my gosh, have you seen these things that they do? What they do is they see if you do something really embarrassing in public, if anyone will come up to you and say...
What's the matter, Rain? Is she boring you?
All people are boring from time to time.
Not in the Wired. Here we always have fun. Why don't you join us?
It's kind of getting cold, so maybe it'd be a good idea to get some of that stuff. Rain, are you listening?
Sure.
Oh, no. You didn't even hear what I just said. Jeez.
Come.
So I just wanted here a kind of what we call an airhead. So just a person who is really not serious about anything, and they're watching some fashion magazine or something like that. Again, for the character of Rain, life is more than that. So she's more about discovering the truth and seeking knowledge. So again, clash of characters.
Here, I'm on the roof.
Irene, I'm sorry. I have to go somewhere really quickly.
So, you're finally willing to accept who you really are.
I am just myself. There is nothing special about me.
Free yourself from the torment of being encapsulated in that useless body.
You want me to kill myself? Rain, who are you talking to?
Why use such rash terms? I simply want you to free yourself of your suffering.
If you're a god in the Wired, that means you can't exist without global communications, right? You're talking to a god?
That's right. But the Wired will always exist as long as man strives to improve it. Man has the right to control the technology he creates.
And who gives man that right? Do you think you gave him that right? Rain, what's going on?
What are you trying to say?
It's okay, Irene. Don't worry. You would never understand, as you already gave up your body.
I am all-powerful. I control everything.
You may control everything in the Wired, but without a physical body, you are nothing in the real world.
What kind of logic is that?
You may be a god in the Wired, but what were you before the Wired existed?
I'm different.
So again, this kind of philosophical thing here, I just let it play because, you have to listen to the whole conversation. There's this idea that a god, first of all, where did God come from? This is the thing that theists, for example, can never answer. They always, we talk about the creation of the universe or the birth of the universe, for example. Okay, so we don't know what was before the universe, but you can ask the exact same question about God. So where did your God come from? Oh, they don't know. All right, so basically then it's just an assumption. It's a guess, right? And so the other interesting point here is that so he's starting to get really deluded and drunk on power. So he's starting to think that maybe he existed even before the internet was born. So this is already part of his he's going crazy here.
You didn't need a physical embodiment. If a person does not exist in my memory, they do not exist. But I really don't know you.
So just a quick, this is a very easy trick. You just have to put her on a chair, and you shoot the chair out of frame. And so when he raises her up, all she has to do is basically just stand up on the chair. So, he's not actually strangling her, okay? Just to make sure.
No. What are you saying?
I'm what you never were.
That's impossible. No.
Irene, get a hold of yourself.
What just happened? Who are you?
I'm just myself. Come on, let's go. It's cold here.
What are you?
I just have powers ordinary people don't. I'm still the same person you've known for years. I'm your friend.
It doesn't matter if people pretend in The Wired. They only fool themselves by doing so and deceive other weak-minded people. The Wired is indeed very powerful, but it will never surpass the wonders of the real world. I do exist both in The Wired and the real world, but I never try to control anything. Nobody needs a god in The Wired or the real world. I know for certain who I am. I am Rain.
But who are you?
Okay, and I'm just gonna end it here because the credits song is by Linkin Park. I just don't want to get too many YouTube complaints. So, well, yeah, that's pretty much the end. So, again, so now she's in a position of power. We don't really understand why, or I mean, where the powers come from. But again, you'd have to watch the anime for that. So again, I'll just put it up here for reference. Serial Experiment Lain. Check it out. It's a very good work. Well, in conclusion, this was a very complicated project. It was definitely the biggest at the time. Lots of actors, just many locations, some days, many locations on the same day. Logistically, that's pretty difficult, especially when you don't have any money. I mean, remember, this is made on like no budget, okay? So anyway, I'm still very happy with it. I think the prequel that I did and I edited recently is far superior, but you have to start somewhere. I mean, this was a pretty good project. So on that note, I'm gonna switch back to here. And so on that note, I'm gonna end this episode. The live stream is continuing because now I'm gonna talk about the news. No. Don't. I put it away and you always reach it. Come on. Don't touch it. Okay, I'm just gonna redo that because of the cat. So now, okay, I'm actually gonna do this as well. Yeah. I don't know if you can see the, yeah, there it is. There he is. One of my bandits. Okay, anyway. I'm gonna start recording this because I forgot to do the first time. All right, there we go. Hey everybody, and welcome to Age of Reason episode 6. So today I'm gonna talk about the news of this week. So today is November 15, 2018. Before I jump into that, I do want to remind people, check out my book, Beyond the Obscure. I know it's very hard to sell things to people, especially people don't know me, unfortunately. So there is a registration thing necessary to buy this book. But I mean, I don't see why that's an obstacle, really. I mean, you did register to use Facebook and Twitter and all of that. So I don't see the big deal. But anyway, get the book. It's available in print and in ebook format as well. So wherever you prefer. I just want people to read it. I don't care about which format you get. So just please check it out. It's a good psychological horror / thriller book. You know, it was written a long time ago, but I did revise it for many years and now it's done. Anyway, let's jump into the news. Okay, let's close that. Again, I am taking my time because it's all live stream. Okay, here we go. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's talk about the news for this week. I'm gonna do the same as I did last time. I'm just gonna go through the headlines and then usually expand on that and try to see if there's something there. Again, just as with my page, I try to ignore really mainstream news because, again, you can go to CNN and just read it. That CNN does not need more promotion, okay? I do. Okay, so let's see what we have. And by the way, I don't prepare these things at all. This is another thing that people have to understand. So the question is why, though? Well, the reason is because I don't want to over-prepare things. Most of the shows that you watch on the internet, you know, podcasts and stuff like that, it's all rehearsed. The people know exactly what to ask and what to answer. This is not the way that a real conversation in the world goes. You usually are not prepared when somebody asks a question. So you have to think about it. And this is the purpose of my show. It's to kind of think as we go along. Okay, so let's see here. The first thing is right here. A cheating scandal plagues tough South Korea school test. Okay, I think that's spelled right, but anyway. I'm just going to talk about South Korea in general very quickly. So I don't know why it reloaded there. Just give it a moment to catch up. 3, 2, 1. Okay. I'm just going to briefly talk about South Korea because I worked there for a year. I worked in 2 places actually, so it's a bit more experience than working in one spot. And what I want to say is that I found a lot of nationalism in South Korea. I can't really understand why somebody from outside of Korea would really enjoy Korea, because once you actually start talking to the people, you discover this nationalistic element, which is absolutely disgusting. And what does it mean? Well, what it means is that, you know, if you teach in school, and I taught everybody from young children to adults, with adults it's a bit better. I mean, it depends what age range you're talking about. If you're talking about kind of over 50, then the people are usually more laid back and more relaxed, and you don't really feel much aggression. But with the young kids, I heard so many times, the worst insult they can say is that you're North Korean. It's so weird. It's I don't know. I can imagine, of course, in the States, probably something like that happens as well. Some, you know, local kids will say, huh, you're Mexican. And that's just disgusting. It's a horrible, horrible attitude to have. So that happens in Korea. You know, people diss China as well there, and Japan. I did encounter that a little bit when I worked in China, but not as much as I did in Korea. So that's just the kind of point I wanted to make here. All right, let's see what else we have here. This is absolute nonsense most of the time anyway. Okay, nothing here. Okay. Free speech will inform any decision. see. So there's an article about China here. And again, I worked in China as well, also for about 1 year, a bit less actually. Well, back when I was there, the way that it worked is that basically to get access to, you know, Facebook, YouTube, other stuff, you basically need to get a VPN. So that's a virtual private network, if I'm not mistaken. You pay for that, but it's very, very cheap. I think I paid maybe $3 a month or something like that. And so my signal was routed, in my case, to Holland, and then from there it was obviously open. I heard lately that China is cracking down on VPNs. I hope that's not the case because, man, the closed internet really sucks. So in China they have their own, you know, Facebooks and chatting softwares, and man, it's popular there. It's really, really, everybody has it. But yeah, you know, I want to see a world that includes more people, so everybody should be at the table. And well, okay, forget it. That's for another time. It's a slow day at the work or something. There's really not much. I'm looking for something interesting to talk about, but man, it's dry this week, and sometimes it's gonna be like that, so. Anyway, so I'm gonna jump to the BBC now, since there's nothing on CNN of note. But before I do that, there was something I wanted to mention, and so if I can do this right, let's see. Okay, there we go. So that's image 3. So
out.
Again, working with 2 screens. Never easy. Okay, so before I talk about the BBC website for this past week, I just wanted to mention this because this is a curious little thing that if I can control it would be better.
Out.
Okay, all right, let me just cue that up again. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, so before I jump into the BBC website, I wanted to show you guys this thing. And this is a show that we did just after the election, okay? So, actually, I can't remember exactly when we did it. Let me check very quickly. It's better to be right than to say something wrong. Okay, so let me see. Episode. Okay. So all right. Okay, so I just have to redo that. Almost right. Okay, so this is from an episode number 31. 31, yep. so the point of that episode was that I was commenting on people about politics on Facebook, which is never a good idea, as I found out. And so this comes based on these conversations. Now, I'm just going to play it, and then I'm going to comment.
Let's look at the reality of what we're talking about. Clinton supporters. Both the Clintons are in their 70s, right?
Yep.
They're white people in their 70s, which means that they're, typically not going to live much longer. I mean, they could live into their 90s, so let's say they live another 20 years.
Yeah.
After that 20 years, we have 5 elections. I don't know how much of their influence is still going to be around. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I honestly fear that she's going to run again in 2020. So, hey guys, I called it, okay? So if you need a reference in the future, there it is. And why I'm saying that is because very recently, Jimmy Dore, who, I like to watch his show for political opinions, he posted this video, and so the title is "Hillary Will Run Again," says ex-advisor Mark Penn. I just want to make sure that I called it, okay? We called it on the show. I'm predicting that she will run again. It will be another catastrophic failure, and people will, try to drum up support once again, but I don't want another face there. I need somebody who is progressive. Not progressive, then sorry, you don't get my vote. You have to get my vote, okay? you're not entitled to my vote or anything like that. So if I don't find you convincing, or if you're not going in the right direction of the country, then sorry, I'm not going to vote for you. Since we're talking about that kind of stuff. All right, let's go back into the news. All right, let's go to the BBC website. Let's see what we have. CNN was dry. Well, let's talk about this one here, for example. I don't know of course, what it's about, but let's talk about exams in general. Okay, so that again, that's what I do in the show. I expand on things. It gives me ideas, and then we talk about it. So let's talk about exams. I don't know, what do you guys think about the exam system? Is that a good system to evaluate people? Is something better preferable? In my case, for example, for me, exams doesn't really do it. I don't think it's a great way to. It's a good way to test memory, but that's not how you learn things. That's one thing I found when I was teaching in Korea. They basically told everybody to memorize English. So don't worry too much about the rules, but just kind of memorize sentences. And that's not how you're going to learn a language. That's just not. So I don't believe in this memory thing. You can, like I said last week, you can memorize a page very well, and you can reproduce that page in an exam situation, but do you actually understand what you're reading? Do you actually understand how to come up to these particular answers? So, I don't know, for me, I'm not convinced about it. I do hope things change. So, of course, I don't know exactly in what direction it should change, but I think some countries are trying to abolish the exam system. Maybe that's the way forward. I don't know. We'll see. Windows open. All right. Let's keep going. There's an article here about the way to stop fake news. I was just thinking about what to say about it, but well, first of all, there are news sources which are just clearly biased and nobody takes them seriously. So that would be the first thing to avoid, obviously, these kind of sources. And then you have to surround yourselves with people who don't buy into this propaganda stuff. So, I mean, that's tough to do. But you know, even when I talk to people, okay, so the first topic we kind of agree, perhaps the second topic we might agree, and then like the third topic, which for me might be quite dear, and we completely disagree there. So at this point, I usually just stop talking to them. I think that your direct circle has a huge influence. We have a huge influence on others as well. But who you surround yourselves with, that's key. Okay, the article here is quite interesting because I think last time they also had an article about Japan. So, man, 2 weeks and 2 articles about Japan. That's interesting. Natural disasters hit Japan's economy. Well, again, I'd like to make a bigger point here, perhaps, is that I don't see much effort being made here by the officials to fight climate change, for example. And Jimmy Dore just made a recent episode where there was a Gallup poll of the most important issues for American voters, and actually like the Russia thing was at the very bottom because people mostly care about healthcare, education, this type of stuff. And climate change was actually just above Russia. So climate change is also way down there. I don't know. Americans really don't give a crap about climate change. That's very disappointing for somebody who's studying it, especially. But if we talk about Japan, yeah, I don't see much effort here, or any actually. There are so many issues here. I mean, they put the solar panels on some roofs, and then you have a flood that comes in, and then it destroys all the homes and takes away the panels. The panels have some kind of chemicals inside, and then these chemicals leak into the water. That's a huge problem. I also read this article before that not next year, but 2020 will be the next Olympic Games. It will be held in Tokyo, which is an absolutely insane decision, by the way, because in summertime Japan is like hell. It's hot, it's humid, it's absolutely disgusting outside. And they're going to have the Olympic Games in that. Good luck to the athletes. That's all I can say. I mean, probably Brazil was not great either, but man, Japan is probably just worse. And that particular article was talking about the games, and so they were saying that by 2020, the taxis in Tokyo, okay, so just in Tokyo, will be self-driving cars. And that is just not going to happen. Everything in Japan moves at a snail pace, okay? There is really nothing like this major that's going to happen. 2020, it's just a year and a half away until that summer of 2020. There's no way that they're going to do anything. And of course, they have the issues with the nuclear power. There are so many people here, and that causes so much pressure on the land. So, yeah, they have a lot of issues to figure out here. All right, I'm going to finish with this article, I guess, or articles, I should say. So it's about World War I, so Armistice Day. Peter Jackson recently repainted some old World War I photos in color, and well, apparently I've only seen like a couple, and it was really well done. It always amazes me when people transform these black and white photos into color. The point I'd like to make here is that people, especially with the changing of generations, when, you know, some people die and then the next generation, they haven't gone through that war, I really feel that then people don't really know what it's about. And that's why the same mistakes happen again and again, because the big lessons are never learned. So I just wanted to finish on with this story, perhaps, which I think has a lot of relevance. So this happened on a Russian TV network or a YouTube network, I can't remember. So there was this host, and he basically asked 3 young girls, well, we're talking still like university entry level, so like they're all 18, I should say young women perhaps, it's more accurate term. So he asked them if they wanted free tickets to go to Auschwitz. And they were very excited about that. Wow, free tickets. And well, I'm not sure, maybe they at least knew that where the location is, maybe, but nothing more than that though. So anyway, they were all excited about that. Wow, free tickets, we're going on a trip. I'm just gonna switch the camera because it's better anyway. All right, there we go. So they were all excited, right? We're going on this trip. It's all paid for us. Fantastic. It's a vacation. We all want a free vacation, really. I mean, who's going to deny that? So anyway, of course, they didn't know about the background of Auschwitz. And so when they went there, they were, of course, taken to that concentration camp, which is now a museum. And so, you know, they were watching these photos there, which show horrific scenes, and I don't know if all of them or just like 1 or 2 of them, they just broke down into tears, and they asked, why did nobody teach us about that? But this is, if you think about it, this is the wrong question to ask. This is not the duty of schools, high schools, universities to tell you this stuff necessarily, although they should. The bulk of your education should be yourself educating yourself. Today, almost everybody has a computer or a cell phone. There is absolutely no excuse to stay ignorant. Ignorance these days is a choice. So, anyway, they, of course, regretted that nobody told them about that. Now they know about it, and at least it's good. But, you know, these were just 3 people selected out from a crowd. I mean, you're talking literally about thousands, tens of thousands of other young people who are in the same boat. They don't know about this at all because it's not part of our reality anymore. Nobody's really at war. Even if we do have a war, like when the US invades Iraq or Afghanistan, it's all kind of proxy wars. So we don't really see that. At the beginning, I don't know. Anyway, look, all you have to do is compare how the war in Vietnam was covered and then the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's completely different. That's why the public was all up in arms about Vietnam. And these wars now in Iraq and Afghanistan, basically nobody cares, except the contractors who are making a lot of money going over there and killing people. But the regular average person, it is not important to their life whatsoever. I'm not saying that this is, you know, it's just so frustrating trying to explain these things to people. It's just really, yeah, really frustrating. Okay, I think I have to end it before I break something. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's show. And I have to re-say that. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Please check out my works and please check out my book. And I will see you next week with more movie reviews and more coverage of the news. Until then.